I am so old and nerdy that when I first started shopping online at Amazon.com, all they sold was books. It's a weird flex, but it's mine. See, I do get out sometimes. Sometimes. And now I'm off getting an oil change, and that's exciting. When I first heard of Amazon.com, I thought that was like the dumbest idea ever. I mean, who's going to buy books online? Anybody who wants to buy a book is going to go to a bookstore and walk around and browse through the books and see something that they like, and they're going to buy it and take it home right then. Who's going to go online and wait for a book to be delivered? But to be honest, there was a lot of things that happened in the world that nobody could have foreseen that made Amazon.com practical. And the website made Jeff Bezos rich. And his ex-wife too, so what the hell do I know? But you know, I've been thinking about this recently, and it's rather ironic that I'm sitting here getting an oil change now, because when you think about it, most of the technology that we have these days is really lubricated by a lot of cruelty. Two-day Amazon.com Prime shipping doesn't work unless you've got warehouses full of people who are paid really badly, who are treated even worse, and have to pee in bottles just to stay on their shift. But the majority of our technology, and in fact a lot of our goods, are made with practically slave labor. The iPhones in our pockets that make things like Amazon.com practical, they're made with practical slave labor. People that are getting pennies on the dollar and treated like cattle. In fact, if you've got anything in your house that's got a tag on it that says made in China, you can pretty much guarantee that the low price that you paid for it was made up with a great deal of pain and suffering. This type of stuff happens all the time, whether it's the clothes that we wear, the products that we order online. But it's not just technology and textiles. A lot of things that we enjoy come from places of pain and misery. We just enjoy that chicken sandwich. We don't think about how chickens are raised or how they're slaughtered, or even that the place where we bought that chicken sandwich donates to causes that we find morally reprehensible. And it's not that we're cheering that type of thing on, we just really don't think about it. And don't get me wrong, I ate a chicken sandwich this afternoon, so I'm not in any moral position to tell anybody else what to do. But what I find interesting is not that we cheer a lot of this stuff on, it's just that we don't think about it. Philosopher Jennifer Foster came up with the term doxastic anxiety. It's a term that's used in a branch of philosophy known as agnotology, which is the study of ignorance. In agnotology, ignorance is not always considered a bad thing. It's basically a tool, and in some cases, a very crucial, vital, and important tool. One tenet of agnotology states that it is ignorance that gives knowledge its form. In the body of knowledge, you can consider ignorance to be its bones. So basically what doxastic anxiety entails is it's a willful attempt of ignorance to forget about the facts surrounding a certain situation so that someone can take advantage of that situation without forcing themselves to make a moral judgment about it. But doxic anxiety deals with a lot more than just wearing clothes made with a worker's misery in a factory halfway around the world, or enjoying that cigarette break without once thinking the word cancer. We all have those things in our past that we don't like to think about, Whether it's that traumatic moment in our childhood or that thing that we did in the past that we regret, but since we can't go back and change it, we don't like to think about it. Or maybe it's that regret we hold for someone that we don't feel is appropriate, like for a parent or a partner or a child. So instead of thinking about it, we cram it in a little box in our head. And we all have those boxes. Or to use the more modern term, we all have baggage. Doxastic anxiety is a coping mechanism and relatively effective. If you don't particularly mind having something in your past subtly sabotaging certain things in your future, doxastic anxiety is just fine. But anything that can be faced can be fixed. But the first step of dealing with any trauma in your past is you have to be willing to take them out of the box and look at them. And I know some of those things can be pretty massive and scary. And if you need help dealing with them, please get the help. There's no shame in that. I personally have been made painfully aware that there's a bunch of stuff in my past that I haven't dealt with, and I'm starting to deal with it now. And I'm glad I'm doing it. But what you choose to deal with and what you choose not to deal with, well, that's your decision to make, and no one else can make that for you. Toxic anxiety is a lot like that check engine light. There's no law that says that you have to acknowledge a check engine light, and you can choose to ignore it for as long as you want, until you can't.